Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of our post-conference presser. So, bit of a different one, almost. I know I said that on the last episode after the New Year's debacle and the conference being straight after Leicester, but a bit of a different one this time because it's an FA Cup related one for our post-conference presser. So, my name's Dave Davis. I am broadcasting to you not from rural Ireland, but from Edinburgh, where it's a nice, lovely, sunny day. It's not warm, though. I will not lie about that for 1 second. And I am pleased to be joined by the podfather himself, Mr. Gags Tandon. Gags, how are we?
How you doing, Dave? Not too bad, man. Nice to be on your show. Yeah.
Indeed. So, yeah, first-time guest, but that does not mean, Gags, we will be taking it easy on you for
That's
one
not my first
single...
rodeo on this show, believe me.
Indeed, not for 1 single second. So it'll be the usual, ladies, gents. We'll run through the press conference, quite a few bits, some interesting thoughts there. We'll talk about any clues from the Brentford game. We have, unfortunately, got to talk about Brentford. We'll talk about Wolves, and then we'll get to the formation and predicted lineup for this FA Cup game. And then Gags Tandon will play Beat the Host and see how he does later on. So, Gags, without further ado, let's get right into it. It was an interesting press conference. My words here, but I almost felt it was a bit tetchy at times from the manager. Do you agree with that, or would you say
he warmed up towards the end?
Yeah.
I think he was started off with his back against the wall, coming out fighting, for sure. I think the start, it's a loss, man. You know, it's the first one after a loss. He was probably expecting a few more questions rather than what he got, which I think, yeah, you know, there weren't as strong questions really for him about the loss, but it was all right. I think you could tell he's not happy at the moment with how they're playing.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of that's down to him anyway, surely. So, yeah, if anyone this season, it's not just the players that need to improve. I think the whole coaching staff need to improve as well. At the end of the day, we're not doing things right. They're not getting coached right. So, yeah, I think he's got a right to be upset. I think the teams, after you've hit the highs of last season, which were highs, let's be honest, point off the league and in the final of the Champions League and winning everything else, that's a major high. And I know people keep arguing in Discord about it not being a good season. I think, you know, if you went to the games, you'll agree it was one of the best seasons ever. And, you know, just attending all those big games, big matches as a fan, there's no other bigger dream to have a season like that. And then to be in the last week of the season, dreaming about winning everything I don't think there's ever been anyone that's been that close to doing it.
Agreed.
So, you know, I think there was a lot of positives. I think people forget it, revise history a little bit, and then they only look at trophies. Fair enough. That's how you want to play it. But, yeah, my view is a little bit different to everybody else. And I think he's come down hard this year. They, you know, they didn't make that many signings, obviously, in the summer.
Yeah.
They lost a big boy as well. So it was going to be but yeah, and nobody predicted this. I don't care what anyone says. They expected it to be, you know, worse than it was, but a drop off from everyone, dude, is impossible to predict, right? Impossible to predict.
Indeed. Listen, I wouldn't disagree with anything there. So let's get into it and specific things that came out from that press conference. So a sad one to start with, but it's right to mention this. Gianluca Vialli Gags, so unfortunately passed away. Klopp was asked about him, said he didn't know him personally, but could clearly see from the reaction he's an outstanding footballer, well loved, and commiserations to the family. I suppose for you personally, any memories around Vialli or from his time at...
growing up, that was one of the top players in Italy, and my age group, we watched a lot of Channel 4, a lot of Italian football was on TV, and Vialli was one of the big boys at the end of the day, and, always look back fondly. Obviously, he went to Chelsea, didn't he, in the end, so that was a bit shite, but still, at the end of it, I think Chelsea were just coming up at that point. He was part of the thing that turned them around, the original when they got sold, I think, or at least just before that. So anyway, he was growing up. Yeah, was a brilliant player. It's really, really sad what's happened. He's really young as well, 58 only. And I watched Souness's tribute to him earlier on, just a couple of minutes. I think he put a video on Twitter, or at least Sky are putting it on Twitter, and it was really touching because he knew him. And he just said how much of a wonderful human being he was. And he goes, I'm not going to talk about the footballer because everybody else is going to say that. I'm just going to tell you how much of a really, really nice guy he was, and we lost one of the good ones. So that's always sad, right? When, the good ones go young. But what a sad thing, and a bit of my childhood gone there. I always feel sad when, someone goes, but especially when it's someone you enjoyed watching on TV or makes you remember some of your childhood. And Vialli as a name, I remember running around, a playground in schools, scoring a goal because I was a goal hanger. And literally just screaming, celebrating, going, Vialli! And just running around, because when you're a little kid at 10, 11, you just take the name after you scored or when you're scoring and then do the celebration or whatever, just run around like a maniac. And he was definitely one of the names that would come to me. And I would scream out when I'm scoring goals in the playground as a kid. So sad, very, very sad.
Yeah, indeed. Echo all of that. A definite part of our childhoods if you're a certain age, no doubt at all. With Klopp talking about, he was asked specifically about our approach after the Brentford game. So the response around that game doesn't change our thinking. He mentioned that we've had the benefit of playing Monday and then Saturday, so inference to a bit of a gap there. So when asked specifically about the lineup, we used 3 key words that I've pulled out here. Good, experienced, and strong were the words that he used, Gags. And I suppose maybe a simple question, but not the easiest straightforward to answer. Do you believe that, or are you thinking it's rotation time here?
Well, he's just lost VVT, so I've got a feeling Gomez and Nat might be starting. So, I suppose they were. Gomez has kind of played quite a few games, so it's still strongish.
Yeah.
I don't think, that's not a bad centre-back pairing, I suppose, for Wolves. But I don't know if Wolves are going to go super strong because they've only just played on Wednesday themselves. So, Gakpo's going to play, I think. I think he's going to rest a few certain players that haven't had minutes, but, the Carvalhos will be in there, things like that. So, it'll still be first team players, but I think, maybe Doak will get a go. I don't know whether to believe him or not, but to be fair, if he did go with a strong team in the FA Cup, because it's a week gap, isn't it, to the next game?
Yeah.
I think, then you wouldn't blame him. I think the only thing I would do is make sure Thiago's rested because he's played so much and just give him that break. But, Hendo coming in, things like that, I don't see a problem with Hendo playing and, maybe Curtis Jones next to him because he's just come back. So it's still going to be pretty strong, right? For, obviously it's not the first team, but that's first team squad.
Yeah.
So, Hendo in there as a 6 with a couple of runners with him. It won't be too bad, especially Curtis and another. So Gakpo on the left, Doak on the right. Who can he stick up front? I don't know. That's the only problem. Unless he goes Nunes and wants him to bag some goals. But 5 subs still there, Dave. So I think, he can play with the numbers and the minutes, and he's probably not going to be too bothered about going out of this cup, if I'm honest. I mean, it'd be horrible to lose 2 games on the trot at the start of the year. But, and he is very proud, Klopp. So I don't think he'll want to lose, but, Kelleher's coming in, Ramsey will be in, Tsimikas will probably start again.
Are you that person who has everything? The coolest merch and those must-have fan threads? Well, over at our Anfield Index shop, we've gone that extra mile when it comes to pimping up your Liverpool collection. From our popular range of bespoke design t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies and hats, to our signature edition mugs, prints and coasters, all provided with fast worldwide shipping. We have something for every red. We also stock official LFC merchandise and are licensed with the Premier League and UEFA to sell official iron-on shirt badges and sleeve patches. As a listener to this podcast, you can get 10% off everything with coupon code AIPRO10. Just head over to AnfieldIndex.shop or find us on Etsy by searching for Anfield Index.
So that's your back 4, right?
Yeah.
Straight away with Kelleher, and then you've got the midfield. 2 of them already picked. I think Milner's still injured, right? I don't know who else would come in. Who's left? Who's the options left? Keita hasn't been training, but could he be ready for tomorrow? And he's just doing individual stuff. I don't know.
We'll have to discuss him in a bit. Yeah, absolutely. And who knows? I think, like you said, it's strong in inverted commas, because if it's not first 11, like you said, Guy, because it doesn't mean Carroll from the canteens getting a run out in midfield. That's not the way it works. But strong in inverted commas, we'll call it that. So I won't ask you for
you protect your Thiagos and your Mo's, right?
Yeah.
For sure. Things like
100%. 100%. And we will, don't worry, press you fully on your lineup. So we've got that to come later. It had a Dutch feel, the press conference. And I say that because the 2 specific players that were asked about the most were VVD, for obvious reasons, Cody, probably obvious reasons, Cody Gakpo there. And there was a Dutch reporter who specifically wanted to talk about Gakpo. So a very Dutch feel to the press conference. So we'll talk about the VVD parts first of all, because naturally there was questions about the injury. We've got to talk about this. Thought Klopp's comments around this, that he didn't feel it and I took him off. He was then asked about, is it wear and tear, the amount of games, that type of thing. Bit of a, if I'm being honest, guys, a wishy-washy answer about, well, maybe it's 1 sprint too many, but did finish it with, I've nothing more to say on that, because he's been down that road. Yeah, been down that road before, maybe. Himself.
Because first thing I'm going to say about the Dutch feel is I am very, very surprised that Pep Linders is not doing this press conference.
Yeah.
And my first thought was, well, that's someone being protected. Because I know these guys are on Twitter and they are watching and seeing things play out. Yeah. And I think Klopp has tried to protect Pep there from a few more quotes of his going out. And obviously he's already got the intensity book. And then we are completely lacking intensity this year. So, I think Klopp needs to protect Pep here a little bit because things are going against him at this moment in time. Whether rightly or wrongly, who knows who knows what the truth is, what's going on. But at the end of the day, as a manager, he needs to do the right thing for the people that work for him, and he needs to protect them. So first thing, the Dutch feel could have been even more Dutch, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
So VVD, this is weird because he said post-match the other day that VVD's was not a tactical change. The other 2 were. And now he's saying that he didn't feel it, but I took him off. Now, he said he felt something on Monday after the game. So I'm just really, really, and also to be honest, it's not that he's actually out for so long afterwards points to me that he did feel something. And I think this might be just some English issues here, from Klopp and not being able to express himself properly. So, I think he definitely felt something because this was the big debate in our Discord server.
Yeah,
that 2 were tactical, 1 wasn't, and that means he wanted to protect VVD, but he was happy to throw the other two under the bus. And I'm like, no, he wouldn't. He would throw them all under the bus if they were all tactical. I mean, because why does he doesn't fear anyone. He doesn't fear anything. And if you were going to give someone else preferential treatment, then literally that's not good management. That's literally the opposite of what Klopp is. Klopp knows people management. Klopp knows how to manage a squad and how to treat people. Like, if he's going to be shit on someone, he's just going to tell you he's being shit on someone. He's literally shows you that he's going to be shit to them. Do you get what I mean? It's not like he's hiding. He's right there in your face. If he's not going to pick Naby, he's not picking Naby. Simple as that, full stop. So it's not like he needs to dilly-dally around the players or protect them. VVD definitely felt something first half and came off, because no chance would he be out for 6 to 8 weeks is what what people are saying, if there wasn't something felt at that point. I think this is just him not being able to express himself, because he didn't really want to talk about it. I think he hates talking injuries, because it's been the bane of his life for 2 years. Because remember, 2021 was a bitch. Start of last season was a bitch until we got to halfway, and then we got this software in which kind of did something. I don't know whether it's true or not, but we didn't get many injuries towards the end of the year, like in the second half of the season. We start this season and we're fucked again, and it's like now 3 in a row where we're plagued with injuries. I'm not surprised he doesn't want to talk about it, but having said that, we are gonna, even though VVD's not been himself, we're still gonna miss him. We're still gonna miss him.
100%. Yeah, indeed. And as you said, there's talks of 6 to 8 weeks, isn't there? He was quoted as more than a month in this, so
yeah, he's gonna.
To be fair, hoping and praying. Let's keep that in mind. I suspect a lot of people have got their eyes on that 21st of February and that Real Madrid first leg, but let's wait and see on that. That is the future. Trying to lift the mood a bit, I suppose, and talk about Gakpo. So, asked about Cody. Did enjoy, brought me a bit of a lift there, I've got to be honest. He's a joy to watch. He's enjoyed the 2 days of training that he's had. When he was pressed a bit further on as well, they came back to Gakpo in the conference, talked about his shooting, dribbling ability, said they've watched a lot of Cody Gakpo, interestingly, and this is the first moment, naturally, that he can play. You've said that you think he'll start. What impact do you expect him to have, Gag? So I just want to set that against the context of, I've just got this little suspicion a lot of him are just expecting to be Luis Diaz. Do you know what I mean? The exact same impact, and that expectation's there. Is that fair? What should we be expecting of Cody?
No, you go in with low expectations, but he's going to be decent. It's going to be quality. I think we're going to see a big difference in the side on the left when he plays. All the things Klopp said, in tight spaces, all things like that. That's really good. That's what we want to see. That's what we need, and we need someone who's going to be able to take a couple of players out if he can dribble, especially. One thing we're lacking is someone able to dribble at a team and just take 2-3 players out and make space for the likes of a Nunez. That's what Nunez is missing right now. Like, I can't wait to see Gakpo play with him. And remember when Diaz played, and he's a totally different player, but Diaz played at Arsenal with Nunez and Mo.
Yeah.
Absolutely obliterated that Arsenal defense. That's supposed to be awesome, right? They just had we should have scored way more before Diaz went off.
True.
And maybe we should have conceded more as well, to be fair. But but that's just the way we've been. But we looked really good with someone who can run and has good prowess up front, up top, and can get at players and makes good movement. And I think with Gakpo, he's actually going to be a little bit different in terms of he can pick the ball up, run with it, hold it. We give the ball away too easily up top as well. No one's holding it. No one's doing much with it. If he can hold and pick it up and allow people to come into the game more, then you know what? We might see a lot more benefits in different ways than Luis Diaz in the team. Right. And also, he's got a really good free kick in terms of creativity wise. So seeing something different from rather than Robbo and Trent and Tsimikas is actually going to be good for us as well. Something different. And and if he's putting those balls on players' heads, then fantastic. I do have expectations, but it's his first game. I don't have expectations in game one. I have expectations over, say, the first year that will look back and go, yeah, he's great. I think that's how people should do it. And also, price-wise, there's way more expectation on Darwin Like people have,
100%.
but if I don't think Cody's going to get anywhere near the attention that Darwin gets because of it's the price tag rules, in football at the end of the day. Price tags rule football banter.
Yeah, true. Absolutely. And I'd agree with all of that. And what I'm also excited to see, how many players do we have that, and this is important, I'd say, with Gakpo, because when you see his highlights, it can easily look like long-range specials, ones that hit the top corner. And there's that aspect where people argue, well, anyone can do that on their day. It's the tapping merchants that you want in the forward area. He regularly scores from his long-range shots. So if you can keep those numbers anywhere near what they are, like right now, be brilliant. But exactly as you said.
Yeah, Klopp said that, right? He's got a brilliant technique, and that's something that when I did the old school with Dave Hendrick, Dave was saying, he wasn't really keen on Gakpo first, but when he started watching started scouting him more and more, he on that pod, he actually said himself, he goes, I can't believe the technique this lad has at shooting. He goes, that's what I'm most excited about. So, that's really good to hear from the manager saying really pretty much the same thing. So yeah, I think maybe we should be excited about tomorrow. And if he can get a few shots off, you never know, mate. It could be, he did it at the World Cup. So.
Fingers crossed, and fingers crossed a bit of it rubs off on Darwin maybe for accuracy, but that's a different discussion.
Pressure gets taken off, dude. You don't realise when Diaz came, the pressure came off. We started winning games. There was, I don't know. It's sometimes player comes in, pressure comes off other players, and if you can help Mo and Nunes, maybe they just start to, tap a few in, make better. Let's be honest, we're not lacking chances, are we?
No.
Brentford-wise, we should have scored a few at Brentford as well, but we're not lacking the chances. We're not being able to finish right now. So maybe someone coming in and start finishing just brings the confidence up of everybody else as well. It does happen. It's football.
True. Fingers crossed on that one. Now, this one was interesting because you naturally know part of every press conference who's back. So he said Hendo's back from his concussion absence. No mention of Naby or Milner specifically. I know they weren't asked about specifically. And then later on, he said Bobby is still out. Got to pick up a few players here, Gags, because there's, what this is like on Discord, Twitter, everywhere. There's speculation rife about a couple. So we'll split them here. Bobby. Now, we remember that interview that was published, everywhere on Twitter. He was supposed to almost be back for the Brentford game, or we were led to believe, but just no signs in training. Are you suspicious at all around anything Bobby related, or is that jumping too quickly?
Could he be looking at, this other offer that he's got, and Klopp doesn't want to bring him in until he's decided? I mean, at the end of the day, when your future's, you're not sure where you're going, and if he's, isn't it for next year though, the offer for Bobby or
yeah, that's the talk.
Yeah, but so then why would that affect him now?
Indeed.
It just doesn't make any sense for him to ditch him because he's picking up, an offer, which he's allowed to do with the Bosman stuff. You're allowed to, if you're going abroad, you can accept an offer from another club and sign the contract. But so at the end of the day, I think this one would be a legitimate injury. I really do. If he's, unless Dave, we're trying to make money and get him to go now and pick up like 5-10 million. Because if it's a Saudi team, come on, man, they'll probably pay it and go play with Ronaldo. But then I saw something on Twitter where Ronaldo can't play for his team anyway because that team needs to sell a foreign player. He can't actually he can't be played. So why would that Saudi team want anyone right now? They can't play anyone. So yeah, I think everything's pointing towards, if you connect the dots, like people say I do in Discord, connect the dots, it sounds like maybe Bobby's re-aggravated something. He's not the most robust player, like he used to be in the past, and the last 2-3 years he has been breaking easy. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's injured himself or re-injured himself again, which, let's be honest, with the way current Liverpool's going, Diaz re-injured himself, Jota re-injured. Players that are coming back just aren't having much luck, are they?
He'd fit in, wouldn't he? Put it that way, so to speak.
Well, yeah, especially
I'd
with
agree
the forwards.
with that.
Especially with the
exactly.
forwards. Yeah,
exactly.
It's not good.
Listen,
the other two, Milner, I think he was still injured though, wasn't he? Or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Naby could just be doing his own private recovery,
100%.
and you might see him
100%.
on the bench because there's no way he can overplay Naby right now.
Hello, I'm here to annoy you. I'm here to annoy you into listening to more of me and more of others on EPL Index. We don't just have the Anfield Index stuff. We've got EPL Index as well, which covers the entirety of the Premier League. And we have 3 podcasts and a whole bunch of really good writing on EPLindex.com. The podcasts are my own Two-Footed podcast, which is every day at 4 p.m, Monday through Friday, covering the whole league. We have A Tad Predictable, hosted by Tadiwa. You know Tadiwa, he does Anfield Index. He presents A Tad Predictable before every Premier League match week. And then Kevin DeVries and his crew on the EPL Roundtable, they're every week after the Premier League match week. So make sure you listen to everything we're doing on EPL Index and follow us there on Twitter at EPL Index. Thank you. Bye-bye.
He's playing 30 minutes. That's fine. He's trying to build him back up. Maybe he plays 60 tomorrow. Maybe he does start. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I think with Naby, he's the most likely to break out of anyone in the squad. So if he is taking, and if they are taking a better approach to him, he's not mentioned that he's injured. So
Right.
The only thing you can think at this point is he was doing some individual stuff. We'll find out tomorrow, won't we? But it would be nice to see him start, to be honest, with Hendo and Curtis. That would be a decent lineup, I think, in midfield, and a pretty strong one. And then start doing some subs at 60 minutes for 2 of them at least, for Naby and Curtis for sure, because they're only just coming back.
Mad, isn't it? And you know, nothing triggers Liverpool Twitter like Naby Keita not being in training photos. So like you said, let's just wait and see what happens on that one. And the final part I want to talk about, guys, this was an interesting one. It was the same journo, and personally I felt it was a bit of a tetchy exchange with a few questions, a few responses. So it started with injured players this season and a lot around the midfield specifically. So Klopp jumped on that as thought almost it was leading towards, are we going to sign a midfielder? And the journo sort of jumped back, said, no, that wasn't what we were going on at all. It was talking about is it the shape, anything we need to think about with the balance? And then Klopp jumps back with, definitely defence starts up front and the balance might be a problem. So that was the first time I'd heard him admit that for a while. And then the journo follows up with, to another area of the pitch, the pressing right at the top. So Klopp again answers a bit generically, I'd say. We need to be compact. We need to time the press right. It's all fine. And it's a team thing. It was a bit, personal opinion, it was a bit sort of tetchy from Klopp. And like you said, no one's going to want to speak about it when things aren't going well. Do you see it that way or any differently at all?
I see exactly the same. I honestly thought he didn't answer it very well. He jumped on him for no reason. And then when he clarified, he was even caught off guard even more. It was like, because he was ready to talk about players and there's no problem with our midfield or whatever. But look, at the end of the day, this is a big problem. I think, look, everybody knows midfield's a problem, but it's not the only problem. There's problems everywhere. He is definitely right that it's a team thing as well. Yeah. So we'll pick on the midfield because we know that it needs it's the part of the team that needs the biggest upgrade. Yeah. So we know that. And we know that if it got an upgrade, things would automatically be a little bit better. Would it solve it completely? I don't think it will.
Snap. Yeah.
I don't think it will, because I think there's something wrong with the attitude of the players, or maybe their fitness, or I don't know what it is, but it could be a multitude of things that how could I know? I'm not in with the squad. We can only assume, right? But they're not playing. I mean, I suppose going forward they're playing, but as a defensive unit, they're not working together at all. And in the past, they would move together when they press. And I think maybe then that does come to the midfield because it's not dynamic enough. But still, the forwards, they're so far apart from each other. And that's probably going to be because Nunes is new. So you're adding that on top of the lack of dynamism in midfield. If Gakpo comes in, he's not known for his pressing either. So what's going to happen? It's still going to be disjointed, right? You can get new players in, but they may not help the situation because he likes to bed them in, but he can't bed them in now. He has no choice but to play the players that come in. If he buys, for example, just say he goes and buys a midfielder, that guy's going to need to come straight in because we've got so many injuries. So when that guy comes in, if he doesn't know what we want to do or how we want to play, I think the biggest thing that they need to work on is sorting out a different way of playing and stop being stubborn. Because the way they're playing right now, with that high line, with trying to press, whatever, there's so many holes, Dave, everywhere. And what teams are doing now is, so one person will press, for example, and Elliot will go and press someone who Elliot is literally doing all of the running, right? From when I collected the last game, which was the Leicester one, Elliot just literally ran did the whole pitch pressing people. A little bit of exaggeration, but he was like pressing the most. And I think he almost broke a record in terms of adjusted presses because he came off. So totals. So, but it's headless chicken stuff like Lallana.
Right.
There's no cohesion with the team. So, for example, if he presses somebody, all they have to do is tap it to the guy next to them, and they just launch it, and everyone's high up. And that's it. Anyone paces in behind. It's just a really simple thing that people are doing now. Whereas in the olden days, it would be Elliot goes, Bobby goes next. We're probably missing Bobby a lot because of the press that he brings up top as well. So what happens is you got to watch each other. And I don't think that's happening enough. So if you're watching a player go, the guy behind you goes. So when Naby comes on, if you watch, okay, now I know Naby is injury prone. Naby has his faults. People hate Naby. Okay, get it. But if you watch when Naby Keita comes on, why the game's a little tighter is because whenever the ball or whenever the player in front of him goes towards a player, Naby covers the space in behind. So if anyone who picks the ball up after, he's on them immediately. That's one of the good things he brings, that he knows that next step. Fab isn't doing it much anymore, but Fab was the best at it, like the fucking best at it. But he's now just staying deep because I think maybe he's been told, dude, you need to just stay back because we're getting caught so much.
Yeah.
But what it's doing is it means there's gaps everywhere and easy for the opposition to play through us. Do you get what I mean? And they're getting smarter. The opposition's getting better. Everyone's got money. People are getting better. The coaches are getting better. We're just getting played through. Or it's just route one. Which way? How should we beat Liverpool? Over the top. Anyone who can pass a ball from midfield or deep. And if you've got a good runner, we're getting caught. We're getting caught. And then it's just, and I suppose that's why he's pissed, because he knows he's got all of these moving parts in terms of Klopp. That it's not just his midfield. He's got injury-prone players in there. He's got new players up top, or a new player up top, and he's got injuries up top now because a Jota would help, a Diaz would help. Do you get what I mean? These are hard-working players that really help you with your press, or at least Jota did. I'm not sure we got enough evidence on Diaz yet, but Jota definitely does. He's a fucking workhorse. And Bobby. So you're missing Bobby, Jota. You've lost Mane. Mate, Mane became an incredible pressing machine. So if people are saying to me they don't get it, you don't get it because you're not looking. There's a considerable change in the team. One, dynamism lost in midfield because they're all gone old and injury prone. Two, we've got a whole load of players injured that normally do the work from the top, and we've lost one. And we've replaced him with Nunez. He's not used to it yet, and it's going to take a year to bed in. And then the defence, well, Konate's not played all season. So
True.
I think things would have been better if Konate was starting with Verge, And Joe has not been good, mate.
Nah.
Joe has not been good. And I love Joe Gomez. I really do. And I wish the best for him because he's been struggling with injuries a lot, and it's not fair on someone. But yeah, he's not been very good, man. So there's loads of problems. Trent's not himself. He's not even got an assist yet. He's got the second assist against Villa, but he's not got an assist yet. Robbo's got better, but mate, the only one who could say that I'm in with a shout for Player of the Year is, and that's the whole league, is Alisson, because he's fucking saving our ass all the time.
Well, I'm not going to lie, Gags. Having asked you whether it was a Tetchy exchange, I don't think you could depress me anymore with analysis of where we are right now. But at the same time, it is hard to argue with any of it. And
But isn't it hard for him to say all this out,
yeah,
explain it?
indeed.
That's what I'm trying to say is he's touchy because there's so much wrong.
Yeah, he
So much wrong.
knows. And
Yeah, of course he does.
he gives snippets away, exactly as you said, like the balance might be the problem. He knows it's more than that. Balance, personnel, there's many things on Jurgen Klopp's docket at the moment. And we'll keep this really short because obviously it's not been a happy time game-wise recently. If we look to Brentford for clues, we know about everyone's thoughts on performance, and you've touched upon it a lot there. We normally ask guest Gags, anyone played themselves in or out? Now, I know in context for this, it is FA Cup, so that's going to come into thinking. So we're just going to sort of pick a few people like we normally do. Tsimikas and Elliott, they were hauled off at half-time. Scapegoated or right thing, so to speak?
No, that definitely was for the right reasons. I didn't think they were playing very well at all. And I think Elliott, he's so young. It's so unfair on him, to be honest. And I think actually, you know what? He might play against Wolves just to get some confidence back. That's a good shout, Totally forgot about him. He came off at half time, so he's not played much this week.
True.
So that he might be in a chance. So the midfield might actually be pretty strong. But yeah, it was the right move. Elliott was all over the shop. Wasn't touching it well, was playing it straight to Brentford. Tsimikas, I don't know where he was half the game, to be honest, in that, well, it was half the game. The times where Verge was exposed as well, Tsimikas was nowhere to be seen. So, again, that's probably the same thing what happens to Robbo when they're up the pitch. We give it away too easy. But yeah, that could be scapegoating, maybe, with Simi, but we didn't really help him much or give him a chance. But yeah, I think he really, if you think about it, he wanted one of his generals on. I think someone said it in Discord the other day. Robbo coming on was one of my generals coming on, and there was a big difference immediately when Robbo comes on. One of your captains is on, Hendo's not playing, Verge is coming off. Where's that leadership going to come from on the pitch? No Milner there. I know people hate it when we talk about some of those players as leaders, but they are for the squad, for the players. And Robbo coming on obviously adds some of that. Trent's not behaving like a leader. Maybe he's a bit grumpy at the moment because he's not playing well. I don't know, but he's still very young. So, well, not very young. He's young, but with what he's won, Trent should really be, leading now and getting over these type of things and pushing on. But I can see he's had a rough year in terms of the World Cup and stuff like that. And, whether he's going or not, they're not playing. It does knock your confidence, Dave, at the end of the day.
True.
So, he needs to build himself back up. But yeah, Tsimikas probably could not, maybe not scapegoat, but, punished because of the way the team was playing and they're needing Robbo on. That's all it could be. It might not be that it was really, really bad, but I thought Elliott was bad though. Like, I'm a big Harvey Elliott fan and I really want him to succeed, but I think Harvey maybe probably just didn't. I think he's played so much lately as well. And putting him in this team right now is so unfair on him. So unfair on him. It's like fans have high expectations.
Yeah.
And fans are going to be harsh on him. And for a kid to be playing in a team that's just not cohesive at all, when he was playing at the start of last season, how good did he look when the team was solid just before he got injured? He was looking great. That's the same player. It's just because everyone's down and the confidence is down and it's going to be in everybody's head and he's probably not feeling great either. So he's going to make mistakes. He's a kid. So we really need to lay off Harvey Elliott. We call a spade a spade. He's not playing well, but everything else is off the table. Like chill, man. It happens. Yeah. So look, I would be actually happy for Elliott to start tomorrow and get some of that. Have a game where there's not points on the flipping at stake. We don't mind if we go out of this cup. Honestly, we don't need it. We won it, I know, and we would love to win it again. But right now with the legs, I don't think we need. I think we could do with a January that's a bit easier, just Premier League. So we're ready for Real Madrid, if I'm honest. So I would play him and try and get him back into form. But yeah, like I said, I think they were the right changes. I think Konate coming on as well. I thought he was solid all the way up until he got the push in the back, and now it was really soft that him falling over. But the way you could see the way he was running, that maybe his foot got caught. When he got that little nudge in the back.
Yeah.
And
true.
when you've played football, I've played football. Sometimes any kind of a nudge, if you're a little bit off balance, you're going to go flying.
Yeah. Going.
You're going to go flying. And I think everyone's like, fuck me, why did you do that? If you've played the game, sometimes if you're sprinting or if you're trying to, and Konate was slowing down at the same time. And so he's in the middle of that motion. And if someone comes and puts an elbow or a back, into your back, a forearm in your back, and you're at that position, you might be going down. So I don't know. It felt soft that he went down, but he's not one of those players that dives. Konate, he's solid as a rock, and I could only be pretty positive in saying that he felt something. He was off balance and he went down and it cost us a goal. But apart from that, I thought he was fine. Obviously, he cost us a fucking goal. So, we would have lost anyway, Dave, 3-1. So I don't think Konate is going to be a problem, and I don't think he is a problem. He should have probably scored a header or so on a corner, but first game back, we can't be too harsh with these. He's a kid as well. Like, we can't be too harsh with these players, So
Indeed.
just guys, give yourselves a break, please.
One, now I suspect, and I could be wrong on this, but I think this is going to be a very short answer. Ox got a goal, which is a nice surprise for a change. Not that it meant too much, but that doesn't change anything with Gakpo coming in. We're not going to see Ox get a run on the left-hand side at all.
No,
anytime
I
soon.
actually think Ox goes into midfield now.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I think Ox is going to actually get minutes because Ox has done a job for Klopp in the team in terms of got minutes and not got injured. Klopp will probably play him in midfield when he needs to on a rotation game. That's the issue here. So, for example, if Naby's injured tomorrow and can't start, I wouldn't be surprised if Ox is in midfield either.
Midfield, okay, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
A reward for sticking around. It'll be interesting to see. Okay, well,
I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
Don't quote me in that way, but I think what will happen is Ox goes from a forward option because Gakpo's here to a midfield. Although he could play right side for he could play right forward, Ox this time if Gakpo's on the left. So
True.
he could basically just run Ox into the ground because he doesn't care. He's like, you're leaving anyway, so getting players back, I need to rest people. Just play another game.
Do you know what? I did want to ask it as well. I was thinking that context, because let's be honest, when Ginny ran his contract down, he played him every minute of every second he could, basically. So
yeah, Klopp doesn't think like that. Klopp, one thing I rate about him is that if he's got the player available, he will play. There were some rumours start of the season, was Naby injured or not? Seems like he was, but there was so much shit going around that he wasn't injured. Like, there was loads of little things coming from here and there that he wasn't injured and he was ostracized. So nobody knows what the truth is, but he's played since. So he's back now, unless they figured it out or it was really injuries. Who knows? Anyway, he's in his last 6 months now. He's getting minutes. Ox is in his last 6 months. He's getting minutes. Firmino's in his last 6 months. He's getting minutes. There's plenty of evidence there to say Klopp plays them the whole way whilst they're available. Emre Can was played as many minutes as possible. Lallana did as well. Obviously, Lallana was, injured most of the time and, wasn't good enough to get into the team at that point. But I think he got a couple of minutes as he was going. So, do you get what I mean? I don't think Klopp, there's plenty of evidence to say if you're there, you're going to get played. If there's a chance for you to come in.
Agreed. It even sounds like advice. If you want to get Liverpool's first team, run your contract down because then you'll play loads in the last year. But yeah, I agree with all of that. So let's see what comes on Saturday. But we do like to talk about the opposition. So we have got to talk about Wolves specifically. An interesting team, your neck of the woods as well, Gag. So 3-5-2. They're playing under Lopetegui, I think if I pronounced that right. They're 19th in the league, but the league's so bunched up. They're only 1 point from safety. I mean, it's crazy if you look at that table. A win can take people flying up to mid-table area. Now, interestingly, they played the other night Their next game after this is in the quarters of the Carabao Cup. So maybe they've got an eye towards that. We know they struggled for goals. Dear God, they've brought Diego Costa back, of all people, as we know. They nearly beat Villa the other night. Villa needed a late equaliser from Danny Ings, where I think the Wolves keeper just didn't seem to stand up for some reason. Looked like he slipped. The managers, let's say moaning, because we know Klopp's mentioned these things, but said that we've got an advantage in the sense that we've had that gap, as you mentioned, the Monday to the Saturday. And they said, well, hold on, we've played on Wednesday and now we're back in from Saturday. With that in mind, the league position, the Carabao, all that in context, Gags, not sort of naming their lineup, but how do you think they approach it?
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac, and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mag boxes, and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
Who have they got in the Carabao, do you know?
I genuinely don't, actually.
I'm going to check, actually. 1 minute, Wolves.
Because that will be interesting to see, because there's a bit of a difference between City away and Norwich at home, shall we say, isn't there?
Oh, they've got Carabao. They've got Forest, mate. So that's a really good chance of winning. Yeah, exactly. So I do think that they may rest players, because at the end of the day, right, getting confidence grows in a squad if you get to a semi, for example. That's something to really be excited about and want to play for, and want to play for your place in the team to then get into that, especially when you're down at the bottom of the table and you need something to look forward to. And if you've got something and you get through that semi somehow, because, you know, Wolves have got some good players that they could probably beat you on the day if they get their act together. But, you know, so anything can happen in one-off games. So, yeah, I mean, to be honest, do I know much about Wolves even though I live here? No, I don't. I won't claim to be any kind of an expert on them or their team. I fucking hate them, if I'm honest. I hate their fans. If I'm honest, a few years back, they were so fucking... When they were doing decent, they thought they were going to take over the world and they were going to be the richest club and all this. I was like, dudes, man, look at them now. You know, I mean, Liverpool aren't exactly doing great now themselves, but still better than that shit show. And, yeah, I go to the gym now and they're all shut up. They don't say a word to me. So it's beautiful. They don't even look me in the eye nowadays. That's funny. So they just don't talk football. And to be honest, I don't want to talk football either. So, yeah, it's good. But yeah, from my point of view, if I was the manager, what would I do? I would focus on the Carabao next Wednesday, especially as they played Saturday, Wednesday. That's a nightmare. That's a nightmare for a small squad. That's a nightmare for a team that's not in form. You know, I would be really surprised if he went strong on Saturday with Forest coming up on Wednesday in the quarters. I would be surprised.
Yeah. I get that suspicion. And in a way, and I think as much as we don't necessarily need extra games, it wouldn't be the worst thing if they put out their version of the second string, shall we say, and we get a few goals on the board. That would be quite sweet. But
it would.
Let's see on that.
Especially if Nunes starts and gets a hat-trick or something in the first half and then take him off. It's like, wow, okay, brilliant. Although we probably want to save those for next week.
Indeed, yeah. Let's not spend things too early, but I get what you mean totally. And this is an interesting question when we talk about the struggle for goals, let's not lie. Aside from maybe Robbo or Simicast needing a towel to maybe mop up baby oil, is there any threats we need to keep an eye on, or just be mindful of the Wolves at all?
I think, aren't they all injured? Like Neto and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they played Diego Costa up front last game, that saw as well.
Well, if Nunes plays,
Yes.
the guy that we want.
Audition.
So maybe he'd want to come to Anfield and, yeah, exactly. Do you get what I mean? Maybe he'd come on and want to really make a show and say, I want to get out of this shithole, because I don't blame him if he wants to get out of Wolves, to be honest, where he lives as well. So, but yeah, I mean, otherwise, who really is it? Podence, but will he play? You know, did Traore might play actually, because is he starting games at the moment for Wolves?
Nah, exactly. The baby
Exactly,
oil
so
assassin's coming from the bench.
There you go.
Yeah.
So the baby oil assassin is going to be the one. That's maybe Diego Costa. I'm not sure, but yeah, it might end up being a pretty strong forward line for them with their reserves, and they might think we might get into the quarterfinal game. So again, it works the other way as well for them. If they play a second string and they play really well, they get a chance to play that quarter, right?
Right.
So if a Traore comes in and fucking plays really well and rips it apart at Anfield, he'll be like, play me on fucking Wednesday night, man. I'll show you I'll do this again to them.
Yeah,
indeed. So, at the end of the day, you said they were pretty stronger against Villa the other day, who've not been too bad. And you just don't know. Like I said, I don't mind. The FA Cup wise, just where our squad is. I hope we win. Never want Liverpool to win. But it's one of those games where you're not bothered. You're not too bothered with which way it goes. As long as we don't get injuries, that's, I think, my main concern right now. Please, nobody get injured. Because it just seems like every week we're getting something happen. It's fucking annoying, mate.
Yeah, I've got to agree with that. I think whatever the result is, listen, we want to win games and trophies. I get that totally, but no injuries, and it is struggling to see Wolves being a massive threat. That's maybe famous last words now.
I think we're looking out for Liverpool by saying that. It's like, what's more important? Top four is more important, and getting as far as possible in Champions League is important. Getting players injured for the Champions League game is just not acceptable. Now that we're going to be without Diaz as well, we need players back for those games rather than out. And, that's got to be the focus. Getting as many wins as possible in the league and having a great go at beating Madrid. Right now, am I confident? No. But fucking hell, we need to give it a good go.
Yeah, indeed. Right, we come to the bit now. We are going to press you, Gags. You are going to have to lock things in. So you've given us a bit of your squad overview. You said naturally resting the likes of Thiago and Mo, understandably. You talked about Kelleher coming in nets. That's the goalkeeper. Ramsey coming in, so that's the right back. You mentioned Gomez or Nat. That's your centre backs. So what I'm going to ask you to do there is blankety blank, Gags, fill in the gaps and give us your formation that you'd play for this as well.
I think he'll stick with 4-3-3. I was just thinking Konate only played a half, didn't he? Maybe he plays another half, to start the game, and comes off for Nat, just to build him, or play 60 minutes just to build him up, because we're going to need him in the Premier League game, right? So that's why maybe Klopp's hinting at strong when he said strongish. So obviously, what you don't want is Konate to come in, play 45 minutes, and have 2 weeks off, right, and then not play. So they do build intensity, but I just don't want him to break. So I'd rather him play and, just build himself up nicely. So maybe he goes Gomez and Konate, but Konate, Nat is what I would do. Kelleher, the two fullbacks will be Ramsey and Tsimikas. Midfield is interesting. Hendo, Elliott, Curtis probably.
Okay.
But I know Curtis likes to play left, so maybe, and Elliott doesn't mind playing right, actually, so it might suit him better. And then up top is going to be very interesting since we've got so many players out. So I'd give a debut to Gakpo, maybe try and play Carvalho central, drop deep and make him press. And then, I don't know, right side, who's available? Ox only, I think. Who else? Maybe Doak.
Oof. Come on, Gags. There's no split sitting on the fence here. Ox or Doak.
Ox played a lot. You know what? Just because I want to have fun, let's play the kid.
Look at this.
Let's get him rip apart Wolves. That would be fun to see. Because you know what? If he makes a name for himself, this is the kind of game that you make a name for yourself. And then if he wants to bring himself into contention in the squad, then this is how we do it. You know, maybe we need some pace. We need some trickery on the side. We need players to beat people. Let's bed him in, bring him in, put Ox on the bench. He can come on for Curtis.
Looking at that, Gags has got Cody babysitting the forward line of Carvalho and the
Mate, what do you want me to do? Play Mo and Nunes? There's no one else available.
I'm just here to ask the questions, but I'm not saying I disagree necessarily. I just get a suspicion I could be completely wrong. I just get a feeling Nunes is going to start. You know, there's all this talk of confidence, and I've not got any proof or anything to back it up.
I would love to watch him. I love to watch him play. I know you're a big fan of the Big Shagger.
Yes.
And, you know, if he plays, all well and good. I think maybe because they've played so much, he might just bring them on as subs later, both Mo and him. But, I mean, if he plays him, I'd be fucking excited as heck. And that means I think he'll stick Carvalho on one of the wings because Carvalho has to play.
That's my suspicion. Nunes centre, Carvalho might start on the right-hand side. That's just my suspicion. But, hey, time will tell. And the final one, Gags, where I'm still down, unfortunately. The host is still losing to the guest. Final thing I'm going to ask you for. Yeah. Your score and our first scorer. Assuming it's not going to be a 0 for us. The score and our first scorer, Gags. Who are you going with?
Well, I've never predicted a Liverpool loss in my life, so I won't start now. We seem to concede a lot. Let's go 3-1 Liverpool and Gakpo to score first.
Look at that. Gakpo confidence. Which means I can't take him. So
yes!
Annoyingly, I'm going to go 2-0, and I'm going to say the Big Shagger's going to start and open the scoring.
Wonderful.
Darwin Núñez will start, get a goal, get off, and it's the launch pad for the season. Christ knows something needs to be.
I can't believe it'll be a 0 though, because, dude, man, we always go behind. So Wolves will go ahead and we win 3-1. That's what's going to happen. So, but I think the funny thing is, Lubo said something or you know, referred to it in terms of the last player we signed over the Christmas holiday period debuted in an FA Cup game and scored the winner. So who knows, or scored at least on the day. So that was Van Dijk. So maybe Gakpo, the Dutch counterpart, does something similar.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And listen, Gags, it has been an absolute pleasure to catch up. Let's hope the result is what it needs to be, because people will see the FA Cup in a different way. But I'm not going to wish any Liverpool loss. Fingers crossed it is a win, progression, and we'll see what we get. But ladies and gents, thank you for listening. That has been another episode of the Post-Conference Presser, and we'll speak to you in the near future.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.